And so, as I promised, we are going to look into the Microsoft Excel Autofill function. Things we'll cover at first are very basic, and you probably know these if you work in Excel. And then we will go on into some of the nuances and things you can do to make Excel bend to your bidding and to do what you want it to do when it doesn't think it wants to do that. But we want to be complete here. So for those who don't understand that there is this function and what it can do, how it can sort and other things, we're going to dig in from the beginning. Make this very brief though. Month abbreviations. I want to start with March. I'll do MAR, which is a good abbreviation for March. I can drag this down. And as you see by my crosshair cursor, the month of that row will pop up in a little box. So if you go to the end of the year, it goes back up to January, or actually to the next January, which follows December, so it's an endless loop. That's handy. You can do a month full name in here. So let's say we do January, and I'm going to enter that, and you can just copy that down and you get the string of months going straight down the line. Quarters, you have the same thing. You have, say, Q1, and Excel understands a lot of these series on its own. It figures out what you want to do. So quarters, Q1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can write it another way, like you can with most things in here. So you wanted to do first quarter, first QTR. That was your entry. And we go back up and copy it down. And we've got first, second, third, fourth quarter typed out just like that. Day names. You can do, starting out, today is Monday, so let's do a Monday. And I'm going to put that in and copy it down. Real easy. And we got a list of the days of the week spelled out. You can also do it with abbreviations. Monday like that. And we will go back and enter that, copy it down. And we have Mon, Tu, Wen, Thur, like that. So this works out real well if you're building out a table and you need dates and times or whatever type of string that you want to put down the column to label your rows. And again, you can make your own up, and we'll see that as we go along here. Weekdays. This is one that I didn't know about for several years, and I could have saved a lot of time on this one as I paused for a sip of tea. Weekdays we can do just the same way. So you can start from any day. But let's say I start with Monday, and I copy that down. You know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get Saturday and Sunday in there. Now, if you don't use Saturday and Sunday as your days off your work day, you can change this around with a custom list. But this works really well for most people who work a standard office job in the United States anyway. So, what are we going to do here? Are you going to retype everything all the way down? Are you going to have to import something? No. What you can do, a couple of things. I can do this very easily down here at the bottom, this little autofill options box. I can click that down arrow and look what's in there. Fill weekdays. Boom, we have no weekends in there anymore. We go from Friday to Monday. That is a very cool thing to do. I'm going to go back though and undo that. And another thing you can do with it is grab that handle, but instead of the left mouse button, right click and drag, bring it down, and then what you will see here, bring it back up, and you have a menu. When you let go of that right mouse button, and you can fill weekdays here as well. Same thing. Now, if you started out with a weekend day, you've got to be careful. So let's say we started out with Sunday in our top box here for whatever reason, and that's not a weekday. We know that, but we're going to enter that, and then we are going to right click and drag, and when we get to the bottom, let go, choose weekdays. Sunday remains because we manually type that in, but from there on down, no more Saturday or Sunday. So that's just something that you need to be a little bit wary of when you are doing these autofills. Now, dates. This is really cool, and a lot of these nuances I'm going to show you on dates work differently for different types of data, but they all exist on in some form or another, including formatting or what your increment is, like how many days you want to skip ahead to the next line. So let's just do something here pretty good today that I will show you. So we'll go in and type in today's date, I think is what we want to do. I'm going to hold down the control key and hit the semicolon key, and that populates today's date in the cell. If you were to go over here to the time and hold down Control Shift colon, which is the same key except you're adding a shift, you get the current time. And that's easy to remember because time has a colon in the numbers and the date doesn't. So same key except for you add a shift to get current time, and that puts a timestamp in there. If we look up in the formula bar, there it is. And dates and times are just serial numbers in Excel, as most of you know. But anyway, if I want to copy this down, as I usually would, it increments day by day. I get March 16th, March 17th, March 18th, same year. But there are other things you can do if you prefer. For example, if you wanted to fill in weekdays, like we did on the day names, you can do that. You've got skipping along here from the 20th to the 23rd, which is a Friday and a Monday. So that's one option you have with dates. You can also go in here and instead of days, you can fill months. So now I've got the 16th of every month all the way down the column here in succession. You also can do other nice things like years. So you wanted to just do the same date every year. Well, choose fill years, and there it is. So that's handy for you if you really want to do something with a incremental step other than one day. Time is the same way, but it's a little unintuitive. I'm going to copy the time down, and it jumps up by hour. The minutes stay the same, but each hour on through the day gets populated. But I've got some other options here too. If I pull down this, let's take a look here and see what we've got. I'm going to go to let's see. No, that's not the one I want, actually. I'm going to go back up at the top and copy this down by dragging. And this is one of the peculiarities of Excel. Sometimes the little menus that have a box don't match the menus that you get another way. So I'm going to right-click, drag this down, and let go. Now I've got a series option in here. Some of these other things are grayed out that aren't applicable to timestamps. But I can go to series and leave this at linear, leave it at columns for now, and the step value is 1. So I'm going, instead of 1, you'd think you wanted to skip an hour, you would put a 2 in there and so forth, but that really doesn't work. I'm going to put a 0.5 in here, which is half a day. So this is measuring it by days because days is over here checked, but it's grayed out, so you can't change that. So I'm going to do 0.5, half a day, say OK. And look what I've got now. Half a day is 12 hours, 12:13 p.m., 12:13 a.m., 12:13 p.m., 12:13 a.m., day by day. So I've changed my time increment to 12 hours instead of the standard 24. Just something you can do if you have a desire to do that. Now here is a little bit of a nuance. I did a lot of Excel modeling where I had to list the names of the states. I did it two ways depending on what was required at the time. Sometimes I used the 2 alpha character U.S. Postal Service abbreviation for the state, and other times I used the state name spelled out, and when you alphabetize both of those lists, they don't alphabetize the same. And what I mean by that, you kind of got to remember that the first postal abbreviation in the alphabet would be a K for Alaska, and so we'll put that in there, and if we copy that down, I'm getting a list of states, and I can carry that all the way down, including District of Columbia in here. But if I use the state name, the earliest listing is not Alaska, A-L-A-S, but Alabama, A-L-A-B. So I need to type in Alabama. I'm going to Control-Enter, keep my cell position the same, and copy that one down. Now we have the state names spelled out, and as you can see, they don't always line up with the abbreviation in alphabetical order. Alabama and Alaska are swapped there. We have Arkansas and Arizona swapped, and then it stays the same until we get down, well, probably, yeah, down to Iowa, it looks like. And so you just got to be aware of that. You can't equate these two lists unless you do some kind of a matching or lookup between the two ways of spelling the state name. Positive integers. I'm going to put in a 1 here, numeral 1. And this is where you get into a little bit of a bit of trouble if you think it's going to behave like you would expect from the other examples. So I'm going to Control-Enter. I've got a 1 there now, and if I copy that down, if I had January in there, for example, I don't have to do anything else but copy down, and it goes January, February, all the way down. But if I do a number, got 1s, it just copied it. So that's because Excel handles numbers in its mathematical computations that it does for accountants and people building financial models. So it really wouldn't be good for Excel to do that by default, but it does cause this disjoint here when you're doing an autofill. I used to work around this by typing a 1, then a 2, so I have to type 2 cells, grab them, drag them down, and now I've got a pattern established, and Excel knows what I'm thinking about. I could also do this differently. I could do a 1 and a, let's say I don't know, a 20. And we'll do Shift Enter. I'm back up here to the top cell. I'm going to copy that down. Now I'm incrementing by 19 digits, or 19 full numbers, all the way down the list, and it sees that pattern as well. Other things you can do with it, though, is kind of cool. You can go down to this drop-down arrow again, go to let's see, oh, this is again that incongruity, so that's not what I expected, but I'm going to go back and right drag it down, and I will get that other menu. So we'll go to Series. Now instead of linear and a step value of 1, I'm going to change my step value to 2, and I'm going to do a growth. So we're growing by 2. I'm going to OK. So now every number down the list, 2 is twice 1, 4 is twice 2, 8 is twice 4. So it's multiplying by 2, that 2 step, as a growth trend, and you can have an exponential series of numbers going down the list. You just have to understand what you're doing here. So it's not squaring them at all, but it is a multiplicative growth factor that takes the previous number, multiplies by whatever your step is. That's very handy. Now, zeros behave pretty much the same way. You can put a 0 value in here and copy down. Oh, no, by the way, you don't have to start with 1 or 0 or any of these things. You can choose where your starting point is as well. But the same thing, if I just drag it down, 0 all the way down, copied it. I can go and right-click and bring it down. I get my menu. And let's say I want to go to Series again. And my step value is 1. And I click OK. I get my adding 1 each time. And you can do the same thing with the growth trend as well with the 0. You might not be starting with a 0 or a positive integer. You might be starting with a negative number. Let's try negative 5. And I'm going to Control Enter. And now if we copy that one down, again, we get it copied exactly negative 5 all the way down. But I have options, right click, drag, and what do we see here? We see Series again. And so the step value I've got is 1. Let's just keep that there and say OK. Now we see we're stepping up by 1. So minus 5, minus 4, back up to 0, and then on toward the positive side of the numbers. We could also do something different with this. We could right click it and drag it down. And unless we wanted to climb out of the hole with a positive step, let's say I wanted to do a negative 5 as my step. And I'm going to say OK. So now I'm just going deeper and deeper in the hole. Every time I step down a row, I'm getting 5 more into the negative side of the number line. And man, is that tea good. Okay, so that's how you do the fill function. There's one other thing that is interesting about this, but I will come back to that, and that's how you sort with these. And it comes in real handy when you have a non-alphabetic need to sort your data, such as sales region, subsidiary company, customer names, things like that. So let's take a look at the list I imported here, and we'll show how to do this on another video. This is the Power Query function. I use this to bring in these 3 columns of the 100 most populous cities in the United States by rank, city name, and state. So let's just say, for example, that we want to make a new list. And I want to be able to repeat the 5 most populous cities in the United States, which is New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia. So we've got those. I highlighted those just so we can see them there. But the way to make these lists, and it's in a different place before Excel 2010, but 10 and 13, you click on the File menu, and you go down to the Options category on the left, and then you have to click on Advanced on the left of this dialog box, and scroll that almost all the way to the bottom here, and we have a header called General. And when we see down here, Edit Custom Lists, so we click on that, and now we can type in a list that we like, or what I've got here, I've got an import B2 through B6 already highlighted on my spreadsheet that's visible. Or I could click this little icon and it would bring up something that allows me to type in or highlight the cells I want to use for my new list. But I like that one. That's pretty good. So I'm going to say import that. And now we've got this new list. So I'm going to say OK. And OK. So now if I go back to my other sheet as an example, and let's scroll over just a little bit, give ourselves a little more room here. And we shrink that down in size a bit. Now, let's say I'm going to do a city list here. And we're going to do that by population. So I can start out with New York, which is America's largest city by population, and we start dragging that down. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We see Philadelphia. Now if we go down again, we're back to New York. So let's just stop there. We've got our list. Now the really cool thing about this is if I wanted to do something different with this, say those were my sales offices in those 5 cities. So let's go back out over here a little bit, and I'm going to randomize those. So we'll say sales office, and we have let's say sales reps that work in that office. Now I'm going to just type in these city names in any random order. Let's start out with Houston. I like that town. And Philadelphia. Oops. Here we go. And then we're going to go to LA, Chicago, and what have we left out here? Houston, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. Of course. Okay. So those are our sales offices. And let's say in Houston we have 10 sales reps. In Philadelphia we have 8. In Los Angeles we have 22. Chicago we have 25. And in New York we really need to hire some people. We've only got 9 sales reps working the whole city of New York, all 5 boroughs. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. Now, here's what's really cool. If you alphabetize this list, so let's go in here, data, and we're going to sort this list, A to Z, on the sales offices. Look what we got. It sorted it, but it did it on the number of sales reps. And let's see what happens if we go up here and check this out. I want to click that and see what it is. Okay, we're not ready for that yet. So let's go here and choose that. Right click, sort, and we can sort this A to Z. So then we get the city sorted by alphabetical order, and I think it's maybe actually what we have here rather than, yes, it is, not the number of sales reps, because Houston has 10 and it's in the middle there. But we have an alphabetical sort, but we can do something different here if we want to. We can go in and sort this and do it by a custom sort and choose. We can do it by sales office or sales reps. We can sort on the values, do A to Z, Z to A, or our custom list. This is where our autofill list comes in. When you choose custom list, we always, oops, not add, let's say OK. And OK. And my data has headers. Oh, let's back out of that just a second because I forgot to highlight my header row. We go down to here. Now we're going to sort this. Again, go down to custom sort. And I'm just the sort to do it. And we're going to do sort order on the custom list. And it's this list that I've made up here. And say OK, OK. Now look what we've got. Our list is sorted on the way we wanted it, which in this case was by population. But say you had a sales region named East, one named Central, one named Mountain, and one named Western, Pacific, whatever, like the time zones. You could sort it on that order, even though it's not alphabetical. So that is very handy if you need to produce a report based on criteria that your company expects to see, and particularly that your boss expects to see. Now, that is something that may help you out. I hope it does. If you have questions, you can fire them off to me, and I'll do my best to provide an answer or to find one. And have fun with it, and I hope this helped everyone. Bye now.